Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the Intellectual Soul Food Lunch Buffet. And guess what? Dr. Rob is going to take a break today. We're going to put this in the hands of our students. And guess what they're talking about? The medium is the message. Welcome to another edition of the Intellectual Soul Food Lunch Buffet. As I said before, Dr. Rob is taking a bit of a vacation, but you have great, capable hands with our student host, Gianni Horton. Gianni, take it away. I know you've got a great show for him. What do you got cooking today? You talking about the medium of the
Absolutely.
message, right?
Yes, we are. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jayani Horton, and I will be your host today. Like Dr. Robinson said, he is taking a break, and it's going to be up to us. So, today's topic is medium is the message, and that is a theory by Marshall McLuhan. So we can get into that. So, does anybody want to introduce that topic or anything? Oh, well, actually, can we introduce the cast? Everybody introduce themselves. How y'all doing?
Good. Good. I introduced myself first. I'm Trevor Ennis, PR major, and a junior.
And hello, my name is Gregory Rogers. I'm happy to be back. As I said it last time, I am a mass communication major. I'm double majoring in mass communication and digital arts.
My name is Willem March. I'm an English and Communications major and happy to be back.
Hello, my name is Ayani McKinney. I'm an English literature major, and I'm really happy to be back on the show.
We love to see it. Love to see it. Thank you for joining us today. So right, let's jump into it. Medium is the message. So we've talked about this for the past probably like two weeks, week and a half.
Wait a minute. You forgot.
What I forget?
Hot topics, current events.
Oh, I thought we did that first. Okay, so we're gonna jump into hot topics and current events. So first up, there is a recent study found that women on reality TV are more likely to face online abuse. So, can y'all tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there was a study that's been recently reported on that shows that women online, they specifically looked at the show Love Island, are more likely to face abuse. And as I looked around and kind of looked at similar sources, it would seem that that's not uncommon around reality TV. And to tie that back into the theme of the show, like, what is that necessarily saying? You know, we have a lot of reality TV, think like The Bachelor and other romance shows that just aren't coming to mind right now, but The Bachelorette as well, where, people are often objectified. And maybe that's not necessarily the entire point, but it is for some people, and that's what they take away. So, kind of what are we really broadcasting with this?
Got you. So, do y'all agree about women receiving most of the backlash on social media and stuff like that about what is posted by them or about what is viewed by them on the on reality TV? Do y'all agree with that?
Yes, I definitely do agree because basically, like when you're a celebrity, pretty much people watch everything you do and they're going to criticize you about every single thing that you do. So, yeah, I feel like that's really true because, some, celebrities actually go through depression and things like that because of what we call these, online trolls and whatnot. So yeah, I definitely believe that. Most definitely.
I feel like women are
Mm-hmm.
held at a higher standard with like social media and that topic in general, where they're held on a higher standard depending on beauty, how they carry themselves, I feel like it shouldn't be like that. I feel like it should be more equal between women and men.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then go off what he's saying. I think there isn't an equal standard. Women are kind of seen they're held to a higher standard, so they might receive more backlash because they might be seen to be they have to be more prestigious or elegant. But men do kind of the same things as women, so I think sometimes it gets misconceived about how to represent yourself. But when you're when you're a celebrity, you're put out there for the lines. So like Twitter, the critics, they can just look at you and just say all these things without even really knowing who you are. So it's really tough.
So when it comes to like what is being posted and what is being shown on TV shows, yeah, I think it's sort of like the producers kind of like producers of reality TV, how they edit, they uh what's the word? They script sometimes. Like, do you think
Mhm.
it's their like doing that causes the backlash to women? Because like the way
46% of
they
Arkansas's population have.
Well,
somebody
um,
population,
well,
but
now that you say that, absolutely, because you want people to engage in the TV show, so you edit certain things, and you might create a problem within the TV show, so you can get more people to view the the reality show because conflict creates a notion where you want to see what happens after it. So yeah, the producers are responsible for some of the content that is displayed.
mm,
For example, just like Love and Hip Hop, Scott even
Mhm.
says himself that, that's how they make their money by seeing the, hip hop artists and stuff on the show fight and things like that. And then they set up these, reunion shows where they're supposed to, talk everything out, but they result in fighting, and fighting brings more ratings. So I feel like Love and Hip Hop is definitely a example.
okay. Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, for example, in Love and Hip Hop, I don't know if y'all know who Bianca is. She made like the chicken noodle soup song. She has like in the show, it's a lot of like just issues with her and other like women, but I feel like that's also where it comes into the production, because it's like when you hear her and when you hear her story and hear like just what she is faced with and how she like comes back and handles situations and stuff like that, sometimes it can get messy, but it's like what can you do in that situation, like when you're being like hounded and stuff like that and you react and then it's backlash about how you reacted. So yeah, that's kind of a little thing. So we can get into the next topic. So Nicholas Cruz, he pleaded guilty for the deadly shooting in Parkland High School. Um, it's been a long time coming, in my opinion, because wasn't that in like 2017, 2018?
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
Thank you. So who wrote about that? Tell me a
And he
little bit about
did. He did plead, or he was pleaded guilty to 34 different charges with it. And he actually wrote a short or speech for the victims' families, saying, I am very sorry for what I did, and that I live or I live with it every day." Then he went on to tell the victim families that he loves them, and he just asking for forgiveness. But that bring up the question is, should he receive that forgiveness for ultimately taking all these lives?
isn't there isn't there a quote that he said or something like that where he said he likes to kill? I don't want to quote him incorrectly,
Mhm.
but if you already said that this is what you wanted to do and you're fine with doing that and then you went ahead and made the decision, why be forgiven? That's my opinion. What y'all think? I just think that it's a little too late for that because you already said that's what you wanted to do. So
And yeah, those people they're deceased. So in this country, you kind of have to like pay for your decisions and what happened. So I don't know. Yeah, he's just gonna have to go to jail, man.
And maybe his conscience probably got to him after he actually realized, what he did and the major impact that it caused on those victims' family. Because, yeah, I really feel like maybe finally, after all these years, his conscience finally was just like, you know what, you're wrong. And you need to make this right and apologize to those that, you know, you hurt.
Mm.
I
He
think
needs
with
to do his due diligence on that. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think with that sentiment about him saying like, oh, like apologizing to the families and like saying he loves them like that, I feel like if I had lost my child to that, I would be especially bothered. And even if I didn't lose my child, but they were there, I would feel especially bothered because it's it's too late, you know, like Trevor said. And I mean, not just the kids who lost their lives, as tragic as that is, but what about the other kids who were their friends, who went to school with them, who saw them on a daily basis? Like, what about them as well, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, that would bring up a lot of trauma in their lives too. You more people are being affected by that shooting than just the victims themselves.
Mhm.
So, other than that, it's another well, not another, but to move on locally, we are based in Durham, so most of us. So around the corner, literally, a shooting at South Point had occurred. And can you tell me a little bit about that for whoever put that up there? Or actually,
I actually had a friend who works at the mall, and she told me about it when we caught up on Monday. And she was like, yeah, we went into lockdown. We all went into the back. And I was also, that day, I was receiving, or my mom was receiving alerts and updating me on it. And, you know, she was like, there was a shooting at South Point. I was like, oh, wow, like that's really surprising to hear. And then we heard later in the day, it was like, oh, a table or a chair or whatever fell over.
Mhm. Yeah, just imagine just going out to the mall, man. You're fighting for your life. It's just something you don't want to wake up to.
yeah. So praying for, those who are there and the safety of everyone. My aunt actually called me because I used to work at the mall and I didn't know it happened until she told me. She was like, "Oh my gosh, like, are you okay?" Because I used to work at Victoria's Secret. I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm not at work actually." So yeah, that hopefully everybody is safe and that the security doing whatever they have to do. So adjacent to that, I don't know what it is with these guns going off in my opinion, but also on the set of Rust, Alec Baldwin had fired a prop gun and it fatally shot a cinematographer on the set. Her name is Helena. I don't know her last name, but so right now with that, they are under investigation, and apparently
Right.
there are no criminal charges being pressed right now. They're just under investigation. There was a article in the LA Times saying that the cast and crew had walked out. This is like apparently it's like a little bit of controversy because the cast and crew had walked out before filming that scene, and that like the shooting happened. So then the question sometimes is like, did they know? Who knew? The assistant director for like who works the props and stuff like that, he said that he checked the revolver or the drum in the revolver, and then he handed it off to another person on set to check the drum in the revolver. But my question is, you know, if you didn't check it, you didn't check it. So either you did or you didn't. Either you saw that there was a real round in there or you didn't. And I feel like the mistakes um, sometimes that people make really cause death and can really kill somebody because you're not paying attention to a job that you are being paid to do, regardless of if you're being paid to or not. It's your job, and safety is definitely involved. So y'all tell me what y'all think about that.
I really feel like it was a careless act. honestly, because of his carelessness, someone has died, unfortunately. And I really feel like legal action should be taken out because of the fact he didn't do what he needed to do to check. And that's what I'm really interested in seeing, like what's going to happen, later on. Is this going to go to trial? Like, so yes.
Yeah, and yeah, this whole story is like kind of mind blowing because I didn't even know they used real guns on the set. I thought they were fake. Like what y'all doing with real guns on the set in the first place? But yeah, it's just tragic. But yeah, someone got to pay because someone got to pay. I don't know who, but the family they need repercussions for something.
Yeah. And I kind of feel bad for Alec Baldwin because apparently, allegedly, he was told that it was a prop gun and that it was a cold gun and everything. So it's like for him to be the one to fire it and kill somebody, and it's like it kind of wasn't even in his control because he's the actor. He's not in charge of props. You give them a gun and tell them to shoot because they're on camera. So it's kind of like, and now the eye is, well, it's not all on him because there was a whole crew involved, but it's just rather unfortunate. That's all I had to say. Okay. So we can move on into the next topic. The death of a freshman frat member in Kentucky. A freshman frat member in Kentucky passed away due to alcohol poisoning.
Jelani, Jayani, sorry not to interrupt you, but we have to talk about Howard University.
That's fine. So moving on into Howard. Howard students are protesting due to the living conditions in their dorms. There are cases of rats, roaches, rodents, and mushrooms and mold. So that is the purpose of students protesting. The thing is, apparently their needs aren't being met with the quickness that they would like it to. So they are protesting outside of Blackburn Center. That is a building on Howard's campus. And at this point, they are being locked out of the center. They're not allowed in. Their students are camping out. Let me go to the article.
And we're about to take a break, so that's what.
Okay, thank you for telling me. I appreciate it. Right, so allegedly more than 150 students are taking part of the sit-in. So tell me what y'all think about that a little bit.
And with this, I believe this is a safety hazard, right? A whole lot of students are getting sick off the mold.
So safety does play a part in it. It's like they're paying to be on a campus, they're paying to stay in housing, and when the housing isn't being met, then it's just like, do y'all think they're doing the right thing of sitting in and continuing to protest, even though it's a little bit slow in the solutions being met?
I believe they're doing the right thing and doing what they think is right. So it's gonna be a slow process to achieve anything that's worth it. So yeah, they're doing what they can to get the Howard to actually listen. So yeah, it's
Okay.
good.
All right. Well, we are going to take a quick break and we'll be back with more Medium is the Message.
The Equal Pay Act, signed in 1963, is a labor law that prohibits gender-based
muted.
wage discrimination in the United States. This law mandates that employers be forbidden from awarding unequal wages to men and women working the same jobs, requiring the same skills, efforts, and responsibilities. But it's 2021, and women are still, on average, paid 17% less than men. There is absolutely nothing about a gender pay gap. Stand up and fight for the working women in your community.
Well, I didn't know I was muted.
You're back. How about that? You're back and you're live. Continue. You're now talking about the Medium is the Message.
right, so let's get into medium is the message. So that is after talking about that for 2 weeks, I can, I guess, come to the conclusion that medium is the message is a little bit about it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it on the platform that you say it on. So it's not the message itself, it's not the platform itself, it's the overall usage and the technology that I guess comes with it, changing technology, getting used to different things, stuff like that. So one of y'all can take that up.
I believe it was coined by Marshall McLuhan. But yeah, it's basically saying that it's not what you say on media, but it's how you receive the media itself, which platform you received it on. Like you will receive or you will take in information different, probably on a radio station, then you will take in information on the newsletter, newspaper, basically by you're listening to it instead of reading it.
So what do y'all think is the importance of the medium, of the platform?
So to tie this to the first story, with the online abuse, I think like that kind of shows it. It's part in that specific example. It's partly our response to it. So a lot of people think it's a perfectly acceptable response to those types of shows, to judge people, specifically on Love Island, to judge people on their body and then use that as kind of a metric of it was right or wrong for them to be eliminated. And further, it was right or wrong for them to subsequently have had some effect on eliminating someone else. And so, with that being the medium and the format of the show, they feel a lot more comfortable going on social media and saying, that plus whatever other horrific comments come to mind, as opposed to if it had been a scripted show, and it's probably is scripted, but far more not that we would put it into reality TV, more like obviously scripted.
Gotcha. So what outlet or what platform do y'all think is the most most useful and the most prominent in our like media, like whether it be like the phone, TV, radio?
I would say
phone.
oh yeah, I would say the phone too.
Phone is the one.
Yeah, that's
Let's read. Nowadays, everybody has a phone. Your mom, your dad, grandma, great grandma, everybody has a phone. Everybody may not use social media, but everybody most definitely have a phone. It's really rare to find someone who doesn't have it. Even if it's Android, iPhone, everyone has a phone.
Mm-hmm.
So next question.
Yeah, like everybody's like one phone call away. So with media, I feel like it's changed the whole game because now you can just get information so quickly, and we kind of don't use it enough or don't use it as it should be, or maybe some people do use it to an advantage. So I think that changed media entirely.
And just like how a lot of people don't even watch the news anymore because nowadays you could just get news notifications to your phone. Literally CNN, as soon as something happened, boom, you have that notification. So media has definitely changed our society, especially our generation, to me, in a major way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And with phones as a media or medium, I feel like other mediums are starting to disappear. Like you don't really see a radio in anybody's house no more. People are gradually not watching TV no more. And I feel like newspapers are still there, and they might always be there for the simple fact, for the nostalgia of it. But I feel like the phones are taking over and kind of, I won't say destroying, but taking it away from the other mediums.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad you said that. Oh, go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah, and I'm just a little piggyback off what he said. Now we're using the phone and we're putting the radio on the phone, putting the TV on the phone. So it's like basically all in one. So now we have this device that we can use all in one for all those things, and it comes with a lot of power.
So we have a question from YouTube. It says, what does it mean for the medium to be the message? I think that would mean for the medium to be the message. I feel like that is, I low key, just a little bit. Me personally, I don't really like agree with that. I think that the message is still more a little bit more important because it's also how it's being used and which one. So I guess to answer that question, for the medium to be the message, I feel like it's how we take it in, like Gregory said. So if the medium is TV, the message is something for us to watch, something that's being broadcasted. If it's on the radio, the message is something that we should listen to, and I guess try to like internalize that, not internalize like personally, but think about it. With the medium being with the medium being, well, actually, I'll just go to this question. What are some examples where the medium has been the message? Do y'all think y'all can answer that?
I can make an example. Like, I'll make an example with 9/11, where radio was big still back then, where you could hear about what was happening about 9/11 on the radio. But it's a whole different impact mentally when you see it on TV, where you're taking it differently, or you're taking in the information more realistically, in a sense.
Because you actually have a chance to really see the devastation and things that's going on versus about it just hearing it on the radio. But when you actually look on TV, you're just like, wow, like this is really happening in our country. Just like, for example, when you hear, like, when I was giving an example, I guess when Michael Jackson died like a long time ago, and you hear about it on the radio, but it's just like, oh, okay, like, dang, he died. But then you actually see it on TV, and it's just like, oh, wow. Like, he's really gone. Like, they start playing all his music videos and interviews, and it really hit fans harder because it's just like, wow, like, he's really, like, passed, So, yeah, and his death had a really, like, a major impact on the world. Like, everybody all around the world was mourning Michael Jackson when he passed.
That was a time. That was like the last day of school for me. Like, we was in a car and it's like, yeah, Michael Jackson just passed away at 50 something, 54, I think. Don't quote me if I'm wrong, but that, like Iani said, hearing it on the radio and then like actually getting home and then turning on the TV and every single channel, it's just like, wow. Like, so it's not just us that knows this information. Like, this is a real, like, worldwide situation. So the next question is, what is the connection between social media and social justice as it connects to the concept of the global village? Let me read that again. What is the connection between social media and social justice as it connects to the concept of the global village? That's a good one. That is a good one. Can you show it again, actually? Thank you. Appreciate it. So the connection between social media and social justice, I can, to use an example for the Howard situation, that is a situation that is on social media. Students use social media in the best ways we know how. I'll say that. So when it comes to voicing a problem or voicing a concern, or showing the world that this is what's going on in this location, they balance each other out. One helps the other. I guess I can say so. Social media, like posting something on social media with like well intentions. Sometimes it gets taken different ways, but with well intentions and to be informative. That's where social media kind of comes in and has importance, and how that affects the global media. Everybody, mostly everyone can access. Like if you do have the platform, if you do have social media, different places around the world can access different types of social media. So it's like if we click on Italian Twitter, we can see stuff that's going on in Italy, things like that. So with that being said, that was an example. But with that being said, when you post your social justices and when you post your concerns on social media, that kind of alerts everybody. Again, with the Michael Jackson situation, like that was everywhere on the radio, on TV, and that affected everybody globally because that is something that we were able to see. So
And
I answered that. Go ahead.
and just like with the Black Lives Matter movement and, you know, George Floyd being killed, with that coming about on social media, and when that verdict and stuff, no, who was that for? That was not George Floyd. Someone else. I'm sorry, quote me if I'm wrong. But basically, yes, it was Breonna Taylor. It was Breonna Taylor. When her verdict came back, when he was not found guilty for you know, killing her, the world went nuts. Everybody went berserk. And that was a global thing because it wasn't just, you know, in her state, it was all around the United States. It was everywhere. And that was a global thing because it wasn't just, you know, in her state, it was all around the United States. It was everywhere. And that was a global thing because okay, that was weird. I don't know what just happened there, but
So the next question is from Shania Hayes, and it reads, how has social media impacted you all as Gen Z students, and how did it change how you received your information, or is this the medium you have always used? Anybody want to answer?
Me personally, I had to step away from social media, where social media started to become a more of an impact on my life than I wanted it to be. So I had to delete Instagram. Really only kept Snapchat, really. But I had to find other ways to locate my news, my information, to find out what's happening around the world. So with me getting away from social media, I learned new ways to, you know, research what's happening around the world, research new topics. Yeah.
So how do you do that actually? Like what platforms do you use to news?
I would say YouTube is a good. I mean, some people might count YouTube as social media, but I don't really. But YouTube is a good way where you have a lot of independent, like citizen journalists, where it's less bias around the news. They'll keep it more straight with you because they're really living in the situation that's happening around the world.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to say how?
I feel like honestly, especially our generation, social media has always been a major impact with us. Because think about it, y'all, even when we were younger, we were using social media. What I realized when we were using social media is like platforms like Kick, Vanish, Twitter, you know, those little old apps like that. So that's pretty much what we grew up with. We wasn't really listening to the radio and, you know, watching. I mean, we probably were watching. Yeah, we were watching TV, but I always feel like social media has always been like our thing. Like always. You know.
I feel like to some extent our age group kind of set the
standard
precedent for social media in a sense, and maybe not ours exactly, because I think we were influenced by, like, you know, I think it's fair to say we're all Gen Z, and like because I think all the millennials have technically graduated undergrad at this point, but you know, they had Tumblr and early Twitter and all that, and I think like that kind of influenced us. But we were a lot more widespread, especially with kind of the appeal of the first one that comes to mind for me when I look at like middle elementary school social media platforms is Vine. Because I know that one was a big one. Everyone knew about Vine. No one would talk about like Twitter because like we all knew what it was, but Vine was like something really special to us. And now it's come back as TikTok, not necessarily, but effectively. And I feel like because we were familiar with the norms of that platform, we now look at this one and go, okay, yeah, this is what it's going to look like at first, and eventually it'll morph more into what we want it to look like.
So the next question, thank you for sharing, y'all. The next question is, how would you compare the messages and platforms between Gen X, Y, Millennials, and Gen Z? That's a good question.
Yeah, I would say just the medium itself just keep on evolving, like we said earlier, where it went from newspaper, radio, TV to basically cell phones with our generation.
Because I don't think Gen X and Y, like I said, they didn't have social media. Like, sorry, the comment was funny to me. Like I said, like our grandparents who grew up in, the Gen X and Y, they use like radio and, things like that, because everybody back then couldn't afford television. So I feel like back then they probably perceived messages through radio. And then, when you come to you guys, I'm so sissy. You guys know what I'm trying to say. The generation that our parents grew, the 90s and the 80s, that's when we first started to kind of see a little bit of technology, such as like modern technology, such as like, the cell phone and computers and things like that. But I really feel like the way we receive our messages, like, through our smartphones and social media outlets. So like I said, through the years, you could definitely see the social media. I mean, not social media, but the mediums change like all through generations. Like it's changed drastically.
Right.
To kind of not elaborate, but to add to that, I think that the generations before us kind of view technology and social media as something that's a little bit like scary, or they're apprehensive to kind of use it. And I think that's that is a big gap between, like, personally speaking, me, like my grandmother and like my mother and stuff like that, like oh my gosh, like you just put anything on YouTube or Twitter for anybody to see, and like anybody can see that. And I'm like yeah. Or like the infamous, like I'm showing my mom like just a random picture and she's like, do you know her? I'm like, no. She's like, oh my gosh, like how can you see her stuff, like how did it? So I think that we're used to it, and like my younger like siblings and like the younger generation and stuff like that, we're all used to it, because everything is like global now. Not everything, but a lot of things are global, a lot of things are public and stuff like that. And that might be one of like the biggest gaps, is just like the apprehensiveness like to use it. And apparently, like even dating back to like the 70s or 80s, when like credit cards were starting to be used, like and like, oh my gosh, like you just have all my bank information, like you could just take my money. And it's like, no, it's kind of not like that, it's different. But yeah, so and for the previous question about in like being in Gen Z and how technology kind of like, how did it change us or something along those lines, I think that I stopped reading, and that's something that me and my advisor were talking about yesterday. Like, do y'all still like read books, and like actual like tangible books, and do y'all still like read, or is that something that's like, is that foreign or ancient now?
I mean,
I know for me with my major, I have to read. But if it's not for homework or anything, I'm not reading. If anything, I'll probably look on my phone or something. But I remember actually being younger and actually sitting down, going to the library and reading books and things like that. But now I don't even, if it's not for a homework assignment, no, I don't. I want to get back into reading, but it's just like, I have my phone. I could just look it up on my phone. I don't have to go to the library and do all this extra stuff. And yeah.
Man, technology got us, man. Chokehold, trying to get out of it. But the next question is from Zakari Scott, and it reads, how does social media influence the saying, the message is the medium? Or is it the medium is the message? Did you mean the medium is the message? Because that's
I think we kind of already answered that question, though. But
yeah.
we could, I'll elaborate.
I will elaborate again, but
So social media is sort of like the okay. New questions, right? Sorry. The popular show You has blown up on Netflix, but before it was on Lifetime and got dropped because it wasn't getting enough ratings. Do y'all believe Netflix's platform influences viewers and or society?
Yeah.
I did not even know that. So absolutely.
Well, I didn't know that either, that You was originally on Lifetime. Wow, I did not know that either.
Was it like original cast? Well, they're not on the call, but that is something. So to answer the question, I think so, because when things are promoted actually it depends, because there are some Netflix shows that's just like you look at it and it's like, let's see what else is on the top 10 or something like that. But specifically in the You situation, I think definitely that Netflix and like platforms and Netflix's platforms have influenced viewers, because nobody's really like on Lifetime like, oh yeah, like what's this? Well,
unless you're like,
right, unless you
like that.
It's like no one's gonna like click. Not nobody. Most people aren't gonna click on Lifetime and watch the trailers for different shows. So yeah, Netflix did their thing with that one. Maybe it was different production, different casting. I'm not too sure about that. I gotta read into that. But the next question is, how have our mediums contributed to cultures and messages of violence? Is it how, or hold on, let me read that one more time. Have our mediums contributed to cultures and messages of violence? Do one of y'all want to try to answer that?
I believe it has in some situations. Shout out to George Floyd, where we're all trying to get together to make a difference. But sometimes with our medium or our platforms, stuff can get overblown, and that's where all the riots come from. All the riots came in, where everybody coming in and say, after we peacefully protest, we might go ahead and break into some stores.
A different approach with that, I feel like the medium and the message sometimes can create violence. Not necessarily like on a worldwide scale, but on like a social media scale. Like people like have like Twitter beef and Instagram, like you in the comments, you retweet one thing, you like a certain picture, you laugh at a certain comment, and that can create a stir up between individuals, and sometimes people who like know each other like outside of social media. That becomes like Zakari Scott said yes. Sometimes that becomes something that's totally like it did not have to escalate to that at all because of one picture or a comment. But then again, people take things differently, and sometimes that's why you gotta be careful, or people have to be careful with social media, because some people, like, everybody's not the same. Everybody does not have the same humor. Everybody does not talk the same. So it's just like for the technology has created like a gap of the face-to-faceness, and to know somebody, like to actually like see them in person, know how they are. Like that used to be a thing apparently. Like you could just see somebody down the street and like know their whole entire life because you see them every day. But now it's just like people see everybody's day-to-day thing on social media, and you don't know it because the social media is what they want you to see. But off topic, going back to the violence, with that, I think that it does sometimes play a part in it, because just of how different things are perceived by different people, and people say they want it because of social media. So
like I feel like, with even our generations, like we have watched, all types of beefs and things happen with different celebrities because of things that were put out on social media, and that celebrity probably didn't even mean to say it like that, but the other person took it as, oh, they trying to do this and do that. And next, we got diss songs and all this extra stuff because of the way we took the message on, because of the way they took the message on social media, so.
Well, yeah. To the point Jayani was making about like different people and different audiences, I mean, like, I kind of thought back to like the, the first, when the question asked about violence, the first thing I thought of was like the January 6th riots. But then like, and I was like, okay, that started, I think, over Twitter. I know it was definitely political, and like Trump incited them, and all the rest, but it mostly spread through Twitter, I think. And then I was thinking about like, whatever. And I don't remember if this was Twitter or TikTok, but the Area 51 raid, that wasn't really a raid. It was just people hanging out there. And that one's more facetious in nature. But like arguably, you'd think that raiding the Capitol should be something that people would see and, say, you're joking initially. And so I kind of like, again, audiences, like who's actually getting that message, and it's like who's sharing that message. And that kind of removes from the medium aspect, but also, and like they're very different examples, but still.
So, well, we can slide into a real quick segment of, well, thank you for sharing. I always forget to say that, but we can slide into a few moments of what's trending. So since I think it was Zakari had brought up the Netflix situation and Netflix and You and all of that, another trending show on Netflix is Squid Game. So have any of y'all got a chance to watch the series?
I have, and
What you
it
think?
was a great show. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't want to say any spoilers, but I feel like if you haven't seen it yet, what you doing? But the ending is
3 times back to back.
right. The ending was surprising to me. I feel like the ending is really what caught people's eyes and how they twisted everything together.
So Halloween is right around the corner, and apparently that is the trending Halloween outfit or Halloween costume. Everybody trying to get them pink masks with the pink suits with the triangle and circle mask and all of that. So I think that's pretty cool. That came out at a good time because it's about to be mad soldiers walking around here. Like, who's who? We don't know who's who. So see somebody put up like at a Halloween party, it's like, who that under there? They're not gonna tell you, or they shouldn't if they play their role right with the costume. But this was a good show. I think we really handled this pretty well. Thank y'all all for engaging and all of that stuff. How do we wrap this up?
We say thank you for watching. We say a good job. Everyone had a good show. That y'all can't let me take a vacation from nothing. So I tried my best to take a baby vacation, and I had to come in and back you up. You did good. You had some good Q&A. You have another show you have to produce. I want to thank all of you for being with us today, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next edition of our Intellectual Soul Food Lunch Buffet. So again, Jayani, great job. All of you, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Until then, be safe, be well.